So, hello everyone. Welcome into the second cycle of our Global Academy of Conscious Politics. And it's amazing that we are all here and we are starting with an amazing topic on authenticity and integrity. And I'm happy that our wonderful Wendy Schneider from Canada is leading the session. I'm happy we have Abhishek from India, Andrzej from Poland in Berlin, Pam from US, who is our future lecturer to be, and now serve with as an amazing woman for me, especially a friend, and Lubka, who is my former business partner, a great friend and co-creator of everything in this, and energy expert, I would say, in Slovakia. And this is also hi to Christina in Bolivia, and also hi to Migle in Lithuania, which might join later, hopefully. So Wendy, I'm very thankful that you are coming and you are with us tonight, and the floor is yours, I think.
Thank you, Andrea. Thank you. It's absolute pleasure for me to be with you all here today. I'm really excited to start this new session, and I'll just tell you a little bit about me before we start. And I know that Andrea, you don't have a lot of time, so we'll dive in. But I'm from Canada, and Alberta, Canada, actually. And I'm a rancher with my husband, and we have 5 grown children, and I'm expecting my 8th little grandchild in next month. And one of the things I really care about in the world is I really, really, really care that the world works, that it's transformed, and that there's enough for everyone. So from my ranch work, one of the things that I know is we already create enough resources to take care of like food for people in the world, and currently we have almost 1 billion people that are chronically malnourished or starving to death. And so for me, the world, there's transformation required for us to figure out what is not obvious to us right now. And so in saying all that, I work with an organization called Unstoppable Conversations, and it's to facilitate conversations like we're going to have today, to actually get out of the way what's in between us and having like people fed and life thriving on our planet, like all of that. So that's one of the works I do. I also work with young people in agriculture ongoingly. I created a foundation that has their brilliant minds added to it, to like let's see what we can do. And then how I got here with Andrea and Lubka is we all work together in the Global Institute for Involving Women, and I absolutely have found a home there as well. So very busy, but really, really fulfilled in my life and developing myself. So one of the things I want you all to know is I'm here. You fulfill on what one of my purposes in the world is, but I'm here with you. Like this is a conversation that we'll have together. And in the work I've done, there's inside of leadership, and particularly like conscious leadership, so conscious politics, conscious ecology, whatever it is. There are 4 foundations to actually dig into that I say is one of the things that we could get out of our way. Sorry, I'm all excited. We could get out of our way to be able to actually create a world that works for everyone. And the first pillar in that foundation is integrity. So just to start off, and Andrea, is that how I say your name? Andre. Okay, Andre.
That's right. Yeah, Andre. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks. What do you have integrity as, like as a human being? What does generally, and maybe it's not you, but maybe like how the world has integrity? What do you hear when you hear integrity?
For me, the integrity is something that's when you say something, you do that, or when you're doing something, you say exactly the same. You're saying about that, and the words are consistent with the thoughts and with the acts, I would say.
Yeah, your actions will align with what you say you'll do, and really yeah, that's one part of the foundation of integrity. So thank you. Now, do I say, how do I say your name? I wrote it down.
My name is
How do
Abhishek.
I say your name?
Abhishek Ranjan.
Abhishek?
Abhishek.
Abhishek. Okay, good. I'm going to write that down.
Yes,
Abhishek.
yes.
Okay.
It's an Indian name, so it might be difficult for you to
It's,
pronounce.
yeah, it's a
But
beautiful
you will
name.
get familiar with my name very soon.
Thank you. Thank you for being so great with me. We're quite pleased with
Definitely.
you. But thank
Yeah,
you. Yeah.
yeah.
So what do you have integrity as?
So for me, integrity is something, like doing the right thing, even if no one is watching you. So that's how integrity I will sum up. And also being compassionate to people, to your fellow being. That's where the whole essence of integrity comes into picture. For me, this is the personal reason, and this is the personal thing which I think about integrity. Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. And that's part of it. Where I want to distinguish it as a distinction here today is I want to take anything that we as human beings, because we're human beings, will have something moral about it. Good, bad, right, wrong, like that. That's it. And because we're human, that's just going to be a natural way that we'll connect to. Like if somebody doesn't do the right thing at the right time, we're like, that person doesn't have integrity, right? That's what we say.
Yes.
You look at the political systems in the world and the breakdown in the systems in the world. And, from my point of view, there's a lack of integrity more often than not in the systems that we've created. So how I want to describe integrity here is that we go to a state of like whole and completeness. So not morality, not good, bad, right, or wrong, but integrity where, integrity in our systems, integrity with ourselves, that there's like a whole and completeness in it. And how we do that, how we're going to like get through it, is actually to take on integrity as a foundation in our leadership ourselves. So also I just want to let you guys know, you interrupt me, don't believe anything I'm saying, just like try it on for yourself as a discovery. And I don't mean, not to believe, but it's like, really, it's like that. It's like discover it for yourself in a way that hasn't been discovered. So there's 3 parts to integrity that I'm speaking about: to have our systems, ourselves, or our relationship with others at a state of like wholeness and completeness. And one of them is what we've pointed to, is that that we do what we say we're going to do by when we say we're going to do it. Is everyone following that?
Yeah,
so sure. I tell you I'm showing up here at 11, my time, not your time, but and that I show up. And if I'm not going to show up, I make sure that I'm in communication about it, like that. It's just quite like that simple. Okay. The other piece to that one, though, is that there's an expectation as a person that you will even do. You may not say you'll show up, or there's an expectation of integrity. So for me, there's who I am for me has an expectation that I'll show up. So one of the things that I say I am is I say I'm love. And I really mean it. It doesn't mean every human being has a way of being love, but I say I'm love. So in integrity for myself, it would require me to deal with me, excuse me, please, in a way that I'll show up as love. Now, does that mean I show up as love all the time? My husband and I have been together 40 years. He'd be the first to tell you that I don't always show up as love. I really don't. But inside of who I say I am, there's a place who I say authentically, this is who I am, that I have to deal with myself in integrity. So my husband's name is Howard. And there's an expectation that I'll love him even when things aren't great in our life. And I'll be love for him and for our family, even when things aren't great, even when there's circumstances, we have breakdowns on the ranch, you know, whatever it is, we have an argument between us, we have a difference of opinion, there's an expectation that love will show up. So I don't have to say it, but it's expected. Okay? So that's one area. The other is that to have, like, where we talk about integrity, it's like how the context or the viewpoint in life that you're thinking from. So does anyone want to take a shot at what I mean by that? Because this is a discovery kind of conversation.
I mean, you just do what you believe is the right thing, what Abhishek actually says. Mm-hmm. This is something like you do what you believe in.
Yeah. But okay, good. That's awesome. So hang here. Don't go on mute yet. So hang in with me. So, okay. Do you believe in? What do you believe in? Tell me one of the what are the values or foundations that you believe in?
I believe that everyone is free. I believe that everyone is equal, and even though if we don't really have the same opportunities at the start, that we can, with our skills, we have possibilities to reach out and achieve some success and fulfillment at some point, and no one should because we are that kind of we have this particular skin color, or we have this particular accent, or we speak different language, or we have this gender or the other gender. It doesn't really does not stop us to be whoever we want to be. No one can say that any of those parts can prevent us from be to who we want to be, for instance.
Yeah, we're really well said. Do you mind if we work together just a little bit before you go?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah,
mm-hmm. Yeah. So in that, and I believe you believe that, and I believe that too. So I just want you to know that.
Mm-hmm.
But we will have a belief, or we'll have a context or a point of view. But in my world, so I'm in the agriculture, and my husband and I, we live in Canada, but we also have a daughter who lives in the States, in Texas. And we do a lot of business there. We are going to be spending part of the year there because we're building another business there. So from my point of view, I believe all of what you believe in too, that everybody's equal. But when I go into the States, and I have a very different point of view as a rural person that most of the rural people in the States have in regards to politics. So Trump in particular. So if I say that I believe that we're all equal and that everybody has a right, it's not actually how I feel about what's going on in the political world there. You know, I can believe it. Oh, welcome, Chris. Is it Christina? Welcome. So it's where we're challenged, right? Andre, it's where we're challenged as human beings. So when you come from that context or that point of view, that's great until it doesn't work. And I don't mean it doesn't work, but you're a human being like I'm a human being. And there's a place that will come from that will have, and I don't know what your political leaning is, but you know, in my world, there's massive support in Canada and in the States for a Trump-like leader. And for me, that's not how I feel. It's not how it works for me. Mm-hmm. And I can see all sorts of places and spaces in the world that leader doesn't, that I can say that leader doesn't work. But when I can come from exactly the context that you're talking about, like integrity. So if I'm going to be love and I'm going to be that we're all equal, one of the actions that is going to be required of me is to deal with myself in that space. So you're getting where I'm coming from?
I think I'm getting it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Please continue. Yep.
Mm-hmm. So when I can start to deal with myself, one of the actions I took, because I agree with you, your actions are going to align with your context or with your thinking, and we'll just keep this in the integrity space. One of the actions I took was to say authentically to people, Man, that I do not feel the same about Trump as you feel about him. I really don't. Like, and I'm even having a hard time, like, trying to be with you in how you feel. So for right now, can you just tell me what I'm missing? Because there's something I'm missing in what you see that I don't see, that could make a difference, you know, so I could actually be with them and could have the conversations that will create the systems in the world, or the people who create the systems that will make a difference. And what they said to me was, and I'll say this too, I was very much an Obama fan. You know, I thought he was a great leader. Like, I mean it. And I still think he's a great leader. But when I listened, like really listened, some of the policies that were coming in place were taking ranchers that had had 7, 8, 9 generations of people on land, like stewards of the land, caring about the land. It was such a threat, some of the policies, and no matter how they spoke, they weren't heard. So for them, a man like Trump comes in, and all of a sudden they have somebody who's listening to what they're saying, or so they say. And it's interesting because the first thing all of them say to me is, I don't like I don't like some of the things he does as a human being, but as a leader, this makes a difference to me. And it's because they were listened to, where they didn't have a voice. And now we've got the polar opposite going on in the systems in the country. And all of it comes from a context or a worldview that we have, that we're thinking from. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, I'm not sure, I don't know how familiar you are with the situation in Eastern Europe here, but we have a similar situation. There was why these populists are winning, just because there was a big, numerous group of people who are actually, who felt like they were not heard, right?
Yes.
So these new people, these new political leaders came in, hey, we are responding to your needs. We're giving you the response. So I totally understand what you are talking about. The question is, for instance, whether sometimes this is not just the empty words. You know, that's the other thing.
That's right.
And then,
we're really well said. Yeah. So how do we get where we, and you can see the systems all over the world. There is a breakdown in the systems that have been created at a level that is breaking down like crazy, fast everywhere. So that's why I bring integrity as a concept or a context as a leader to bring into, you know, who are we? Like, what is in between me and the other that I actually have, that will actually make a difference, so that all can be heard, and we don't have to agree on everything, but all can be heard, and we can create, you know, a system that actually works for everyone. So that's our challenge. It's a big challenge right now. And it has to start with you and me. It has to start with all of us here, or it's actually not going to change. We're just going to be part of the system that's ongoing, that actually creates, you know, me, you know, a world where there's an us and them, or a me or you. It's not that we're all equal. So
like, okay, we are not equal, but okay, we are not equal in the sense of, I don't know, the position we are, the education, the, you know, the skills we have, but still, like, on the point of views or the experience we have, but we should be considered as equal human beings, right?
We should be.
We should be considered. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But how we are individually, if we don't deal with ourselves first, as is in one of the places that we can come from, and it's integrity. Right? Integrity. So integrity works like a context, like the way you think from. It works great to have these, you know, me saying I come from, I am love, you know, or that we all have, you know, freedom, and we all have like a world that works for everybody. It's who we're being when it doesn't work. is really the space and place we need to be in. So one of the things that, in the way I'm distinguishing integrity is we consider it, it's like the law of gravity. You know, when we have gravity on Earth, and integrity is there's actually a law to it. So the law of integrity, and if we can get it for ourselves as human beings, as integrity is, and not moral, not Trump, you're good or you're bad, but you're a human being on Earth that actually has something to say. It doesn't always work. We don't have like workability everywhere, but what if we actually could actually get into those spaces that there could be like whole and completeness, workability.
Makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. When you're not in integrity, and you know, I can tell you many times, actually almost daily, well, not almost daily, I'll just say it that way, daily, where I don't have integrity in my life. And the more I deal with myself inside of integrity, and not morality, not feeling bad, but integrity as a law, the more my world and the world around me starts to work.
Okay, and then, but can you give us an example, for instance, like examples like you had like you wouldn't say that there is integrity within you, and then you're trying to look for it, and how it's resulting in your, you know, how improving your situation or improving your well-being.
Yeah. So one of the ways I wound up being was a person who likes relationships to really work. You can even hear that in my speaking, right? And if you were in my world, Andre, you could see that I have like almost a 40-year marriage. I have 5 kids, grown kids who all have, you know, pretty nice lives. And I'm the person in my world that people come and have hard conversations with. You know, I'm a mother, right? And I have I have a way of being that not just my family, but friends, people will come and talk to me about things that are hard for them. So, so just like keep that in mind. But what happens eventually, and especially with my kids and my husband, eventually, at some point, how I am about that. So I'm an open space for them to come to, but how I am is a person who wound up wanting to fix things. And those things are called people. And those people do not appreciate me fixing them, because, and I have it like, I'm caring about you, I love you. So as an example, one of my sons ended up just before Christmas getting arrested. And he went to 3 days, he was in a remand center because he was driving without insurance. And in Canada, if you drive without insurance and you don't have, it's a very large fine, and you don't have the money to pay for it, and he didn't, you actually have to go and then you do community work. So he's the one out of my 5 that struggles. So all of his siblings phoned me, Mom, you know, let's do whatever we can for Daniel. That's his name. And I'm like, yeah, we should. And we do. And, you know, my son comes and it's like, we love you. We got this. Don't worry about it. But eventually what happens is, how I am with them is that they end up feeling like there's a problem. Because what I said to my son is, you know, Daniel, you have to take care of like this and this and this and this and this. And he's like, yeah. And then I go, oh, and by the way, you should take care of that. And we've got to take care of, and, you know, it sounds, what ends up happening is they end up getting interrogated from me. It's like literally like I have it as I'm caring about them, and they have it as they can't answer enough questions from me to actually satisfy me for them to actually be free. So, and how I experience it is that they come to me and then they'll blame me. So what I said to them all, because I've heard this a lot from my family, and I said, okay, here's you have communicated this communication to me many times, and I'm going to have to deal with myself, and I'll want to fight you because I want you to know I care about you. And they're like, yeah, we got that. Anyway, it took about 2.5 weeks for me to deal with the communication that I continued to get from my husband and from my children especially, till I finally got the communication delivered as is that I will not quit asking questions in my fixing things, that they feel stupid and they feel like they're trapped from me. So that's my example. Once I got it, like really got it, I'm like, oh, and it was blind to me. I mean it. Like the unworkability wasn't blind to me, but the way I was in it was blind to me.
Mm-hmm.
Until I was able to deal with myself for 2.5 weeks. This was before Christmas, to actually be able to like, oh, okay, now I see what I'm doing. And then it opened up a space for me to say, one of the things with my son is that you don't come to me until there's a problem. You know, when I ask you something, you're like, everything's fine. And what you're doing is lying to me. And he goes, I am. Like I am. I lie. And I said, me too. There's times I lie too. So that's what I mean. There's not times that any of us don't actually have to deal with who we wound up being and be authentic and real about what's going on. So once I cleared that, Andre, then all of a sudden there's space created for everybody. Does that give you
that's a good answer. The other thing is, also like the son-mother relationships, that's also like may complicating also the issues, because I know, sometimes the sons doesn't really need to have this communication with mother, so that's why they are not coming, and they're creating the gap. So it's another natural, let's say, process, right? So something what is happening, and which also creating the resulting or affecting those relationships, and then also this integrity, right?
Yeah, I really like how you said that. There is some of that in, mother, son, mother not quitting, not like getting that son is grown man right now, but where we want to go as humans, and I want you to like look and see. One of the places you went to inside this conversation is, I get it, but mother-son thing, right? So there's a context, there's a way you're thinking that that has an automatic answer already. Oh, well, no wonder, that's a mother-son thing. So, but it's a circumstance, and how we deal in the world is we deal with that's this thing or that's that thing. What I had to deal with was it's this thing. It's this thing right here called Wendy, who's a mother, who is getting communication on, when things aren't working. We honestly have like beautiful relationships, but when things aren't working, like every other relationship, I have to look here first. Right. And I didn't want to. Honestly, I thought it was them, not me. And I heard it too many times to know, like, no, there's some way I'm being that just has it not work inside of when there's a problem. So I have to deal with me. And if I can deal with me as a leader, and I can be authentic about where, when I said to them, I'm going to have to fight me, like authentically, I want to battle you because I think it's you, not me. But I know that's not the case. I know there's something you've been trying to communicate that I can't get. Yeah. Right. So when I was authentic about that, they could work with me. Otherwise, they were just going to be battling the fixer.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So one of the
question.
Pardon me? Yes. Go ahead.
I have a small question. So
yes,
you said you were talking about your personal life. So how do you differentiate personal integrity with that of professional integrity? Like this is something which comes into our family picture. So having integrity with my parents or my friends is one aspect. And if I am working, say, in a political space and I want to, question the government and do my professional work, that comes into another picture. So how do we differentiate between these two aspects of integrity?
Yeah, that's such a great question. Um, well, I'm going to say this. Look at, because this is a place to discover. So look at your personal life and your professional life. Like just right now, just kind of go there and look. What do you have as different? Like, and be like really honest about that. You know, authentic about that. What's different?
So I mean, like, I have
Yeah,
I have a working relation with my colleagues in my office,
yeah,
and with like you all are my friends, so I have a different relation with you all.
yeah,
So right now, integrity at this level, say I'm punctual for this class, is one of the integrity thing which I am looking
yeah.
for. But when
Okay.
it comes to professional integrity, say I'm not liking a government, so that was coming on my mind when you were telling about the expectation versus the reality thing, which is
Yes.
there. So isn't this two different aspect? And second question is, how do we, if I'm not able to, have a that sense of satisfaction with the government, then how should we able to cope up with that, or what
Yeah.
action should we take?
Awesome. Okay. Great. I got it. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, you wanted to see what's the difference, because in all those relationships you have a different context. You know,
Yeah.
we're friends is one context. I
Yeah.
don't like the government is another context, right?
Yes, that's
So
right.
that's a really great question. So who do you say you are? Like if I asked you, so I tell you, and you know, I'm love, but for you, who do you say you are?
So as a
As
person,
a
if
human
I
being, as a person. Yeah.
yeah, as a person, if I have to evaluate myself, so
Yeah.
I'm someone who is like, a good friend, a good
Yeah.
son. In that
Yeah.
context, I'm saying a good friend, a good son.
Yeah.
So I love to read poems. I love to watch football sometime and cricket, follow cricket very religiously. So
Yeah.
this is how I'm a person. And whatever I do in my professional life, I try to do it with my best of ability and capacity. So that's what integrity for me is. But you were talking about certain other integrity aspects. So I never thought it in that way, that asking questions to the government, or trying to show your dissatisfaction to a government, has also to do something with the integrity. So that's why my question is,
Yes.
so if I'm not satisfied with my government, so we say that we have voted for this government and majority of vote has gone to them, so they have the right to be there for 5 years or 4 years, whatever that system is.
Yeah.
So uh, how does that role of integrity come into picture in that context? So
Yeah. It's
that is
like,
my
how do you
question.
bridge it,
Yeah,
right? So,
yeah,
what I mean by, I'm going to answer your last one first and then go back to the first one. Okay.
sure.
So, when I say integrity,
Yeah,
I'm literally not, I literally mean it's from the space of like who you get to say, you do what you say you're going to do by when you say you're going to do it, you know, like the context in which you're thinking. And then there's an expectation. So as a son, or as a person who works and lives in a country where there's a government that you don't like, what's the what's the expectation of you as a citizen, as a family member? What's the unspoken expectation?
from the government.
Yeah, government and family. What's
Pay
the unspoken?
taxes.
Yeah, so like from family, I mean, no, I'm just confused. Like, if the government is rightfully chosen, in a democratic way, so in that angle, we can obviously question the government, but we can't think, we are not in that capacity to do something beyond that, because that government was chosen in a democratic way for 5 years.
Yes. Yeah.
So, like, what role will integrity play if my
Not
views are
rule.
not,
What's the expectation as a
yeah,
citizen of your country? What's the expectation of you?
from the government? Yeah, I mean, sticking to the constitutional values of the Constitution of India, and
Yeah.
trying to provide, access to the basic necessities to the billion people,
Brilliant.
and trying
Yeah.
to, yeah,
There's some laws. There's some laws that you have in your country.
yeah,
So
yeah,
the expectation is you'll follow the law.
yes,
Yeah, and then it's a democratic, government. So the expectation is now this is what's in place, and until there's another kind of government, something that you like, that's what's in place. So the expectation is you're still a citizen. You're still a citizen of your country, and you've got
yes,
some laws, and some of them are spoken, some of them are unspoken, right?
yes,
Like I have, and where I want you to get with this is if you break the laws of integrity, laws of your country, so
okay,
sometimes unspoken, there's a consequence.
okay,
Yes? Yeah.
yes,
Okay,
sure,
good.
sure.
Now as a son, what's in your family, what's one of the expectations
I mean,
of who you
to
are?
to do duties of a son,
Yes.
uh,
Right. Yeah.
meet my parents regularly, visit them, all sorts of those things which I can't express also, this is
Yes.
something which is very heartfelt,
Yeah. No,
So-
I love that. So, but you know them, right? You know
yes, yeah,
them.
definitely, sure.
So one of the things is, I mean, there's like some expectations, there's some agreements, and
Yeah.
until you express otherwise, like really, until you express otherwise, you know that's an expectation that you, without saying you agreed to.
Yes,
Yes. Okay, good. That's awesome. So those are the three parts. And then you have a way you think from it. One of the things you think from and I heard it, is that I'm a good human being, like I'm a decent person. I'm going to do what I can do to make society better. You wouldn't even be in this conversation if it didn't matter to you to make a difference in the world. Yes?
sure, sure.
Yeah. Okay, good. So that's the
Just I have goosebumps when you share rubbish like this with Wendy. It's really like goosebumping.
oh yeah. That's awesome. Awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, so I want you to look at where, the same thing personally, like you have an expectation, you have a context you think from, and you're not always going to be that.
Sure.
You're just not always going to be that. But the more you deal with, okay, where I've broken my word inside of an expectation. So this is like, this is the second part of the integrity, is that I will be the person to say what there is to say, to actually create integrity again in my country, in who I am as a person, as whole and complete.
Sure, sure.
Yeah, you know what? And it's not like when I was talking to my children, and I finally got the message they were delivering. There wasn't for me a point in where I said, oh my gosh, I feel so terrible. I've done that a long time as a mother. It wasn't that. It actually was when I could hear what there was to hear. And then we ended up having agreements. I said to my son, I need to hear about how your life is going, and for you not to say, it's fine. Tell me the truth. Tell me what you're actually dealing with, and you come to me, and I won't be coming to you about it. And he goes, yeah, I can agree to that. And he's been doing that. And then with my other children, I said, here's one of the agreements. I'm not going to be the one to all the time have just these conversations between us, because I will automatically want to fix it. So when you come to me, I'll hear you, but you go to your brother. If you want to help your brother, you be the one to go, because I was the one in the middle going everywhere. And then the other thing I said to them, and this is where we got, and I said, I can see what I've been doing, and I'm going to promise you not to do that to the best of my ability anymore, but it's going to happen again. It's just how I am. So when that happens, when I go to interrogating you, which I call care, and it doesn't work for you, I request that you say to me, this is what's going on again. And I promise you I'll look at it. And we have. So it was bringing the state of how I was, where it wasn't working in my family, to a new agreement together. And it doesn't always work, but man, it's been incredible how well it's worked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So following up, I have one more question. So
Yes.
So suppose we are evaluating someone, so
Yeah.
someone who are not who with whom we are not connected personally. So we are evaluating him or her on personal and professional integrity as well. So on what aspects should we evaluate? Should we evaluate someone on merely on professional integrity or on personal integrity also? I will cite you an example also. For the case of Bill Clinton, the former ex-president of United States. So when that issue happened of molestation of
with Monica Lewinsky.
Sure.
Yeah.
So that was the loss of personal integrity by Mr. Clinton.
Yes. Yes.
But the world evaluated him on his personal integrity also. But as a society, he was responsible for his professional integrity only. So we were evaluating on both aspects. So like I want to know, on what parameters should we judge someone? Merely on professional integrity with whom we are connected professionally, or also on the personal integrity side?
Yeah. So there's not a right and a wrong in this, right? Like it will be like who. So when he said, I'm gonna like bring it back to you. When he said, I did not have any sexual contact with that woman, and he lied.
Yes.
He did, right?
Yes.
And he said he lied. When he said that, not just for you or me or anyone else does a little bit of the relationship die. But when he said that, like, and if you just put yourself in his shoes, because his shoes are every other human being's shoes, right?
Sure.
When I lie, because I've lied, I absolutely have. When I lie, a little part of me dies. When I don't stand for
Agreed.
What I say, who I say I am, not just the right and the wrong thing, but when I don't stand for who I say I am, it's a diminishment of me. I feel a diminishment of me.
Yes.
Yes.
So my question, sorry to interrupt.
But you want to know how or why, like how do you judge them, right?
Yes. So my question is like, suppose I am working with you.
Yes.
So if you have done some wrong thing in your personal life, so should I ignore that, or should I judge only on your professional integrity, because I am connected with you professionally only? I'm not connected with you personally. So that is my question.
One of the spaces I want to give you is that you're separating life like every human being does, but you're separating life into spaces and pieces. This is professional. This is personal. This is, and I want you to try on that it's all the same. It doesn't matter. There is no separation. We make a separation because we make it like it's easier for our brain, and this isn't personal for you, but it's easier for our brain to categorize things. That's our brain wants shortcuts. Your question is a shortcut to actually have things work. Can you see that? Because your brain, like mine, wants that. We'll always go to a shortcut. Sure. So just try on that it's not separate. That who you say you are, and then who you say you are, when you get who you say you are, and you'll deal with whatever there is to deal with personally or professionally, that'll be what makes the difference. Okay? So
thank you.
I've used integrity like a law inside of my professional work, tons. And I've even let people go. Like I fired them inside of integrity, where they're left whole and complete, and the the foundation is left whole and complete, and I am. So it doesn't mean that you keep tolerating unworkability, but you could actually leave people, you know, and there's 3 spaces that you're always going to want to look at. So, and I just said to you, don't separate it, but here's where you can separate it, where you can actually discover for yourself. There's integrity with self. So you have integrity for who you say you are at the level of self, at the level of I. And then there's integrity with others. So others would include everybody here, you know, how you guys are going to operate as a, you know, conscious political like group that is out to make a difference in the world. So that's self. And then the third place is always like situation or the world. Okay. So when I look in the world, there's a lack of integrity. It's just a lack of integrity. So if I say, so integrity also has to do with, you know, and this is another distinction, responsibility. And I'm going to come back and we're going to dig into these other distinctions, authenticity, responsibility in other sessions. But just for right now, if I say that I'm responsible for your and my relationship, whether we know each other or not, then I'll take actions that will align with what I say who I say I am. If I say I'm responsible 100% for how the world works, then I'll take, it doesn't mean it's all true, but it means if I come from that thinking, I'll make a far larger difference, and I'll take different actions. I'll take different actions for what I say I am. Now, what did you hear in all that?
So, I mean, not making any binary, and keeping integrity as a whole concept, and not trying to diversify and segment into other sectors. So from now on, what I think integrity is in its completion only. So if I am judging someone, I will be judging on the whole parameters of integrity rather than, you know, what I was saying earlier, professional or personal or some other criteria which I might have in my mind. So that's the essence.
Can you see that? And we're just at the beginning, right? It's like, so like
Sure.
we're going a lot of places, but can you see it's possible that integrity isn't separate as a personal or professional, other than the integrity to self, and then there's integrity with others.
Sure,
but not inside.
I have felt that only in my life, that, you know, if someone has integrity at a personal level, say, he or she will have integrity at professional level also. But you know, at times, as you said, you have fired someone. So I was also trying to make that distinction to keep myself sane. So I was asking that question to you.
Yeah, they're awesome questions. And I just want to thank you. Like, this conversation, it works for everybody here, because everybody will be tracking on. Like here, who hasn't gotten something out of this conversation for yourself?
I think I should have integrity to provide a chance to other Pam and Helen, Christina also.
Yeah, but they're getting lots out of this, right? We end up having to do the work together, and we'll go there. But you know, that's who you are, right? You're a good person, so you want to make sure everybody has a chance. So that's awesome. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Who else would like to? Who has questions or?
Hi. Can you hear me, Wendy?
Yes, hi.
Hi, I'm Christina. Yes, well, Christina, actually.
Christina.
Helen's my first name, but everybody calls me Christina, so hi. I'm so sorry I was a little bit late. I'm in Brazil now with my family, but I did it. I don't know how, but I'm here.
That's awesome.
I have one question, Wendy.
Yes.
You were talking about your role as mother. I'm also a mother. And I felt very identified with you, but not in my mother role, but in my role as an activist with my movement, with my citizen movement, because it's always the same figure for me, that everybody is coming to me when they have problems in the things and activities they are doing, and I have to deal with their problems, and between other people. You know, I'm always like in the middle of the storm, in
Yes.
somehow.
Yeah.
And my question. You talk about integrity, like taking responsibility with the other people. So on this level, you make other actions. That's what I understand to now. So my
Yeah.
question is, if I take responsibility for other people, it's like I lose myself, because um, it turns the work like always solving other problems, and you lose your way. You know, you wanted to go from A to B, and on the way you're solving so many problems, you never come to point B. You know,
Yeah.
that's where I'm a little bit lost. And hi everyone.
Yeah. Really awesome. Like, that's so awesome. And I want to tell you, it's so great for you to bring like really truly what like how it looks or how it is versus a concept, because a concept is, you know, won't give you any access to anything. So people come to you lots, yeah? Like you're a fixer too? You can see that your personal life, your professional life, yeah. So one of the things to get is like how you want to help people, you want to solve problems, you want to make a difference in the world. That's all great, but who are you to you? Like, it sounds like to me that you're like there's a possibility of burnout for yourself if you don't. Christina, am I frozen? Shoot, there we go. Yeah. So who are you for you, Christina?
Me, for me, the question. Well, I guess I'm just a woman who wants work things not right in a level of correctness, but of justice for everyone. That's for me
Yeah.
the principal point I wanted to get to. And of course, to begin in my country, because Bolivia is a little bit example of madness. Absolutely. But I think
Yeah.
that's who I am. I want to be the voice of justice somehow.
That's so awesome. Yeah. And that's like, it really matters to you. And I know that you're involved in, you know, like JIFU and
Hi.
other things that I'm involved in as well. Sorry? Okay. Is it just Christina frozen, or, oh, there, Yuri. Okay. So who you are is a human being that wants justice, wants correctness in the world. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, good. So can you tell me a little more? Can you go off mute for a minute and just work with me for a second, Christina? Okay.
Yeah.
When people are coming to you, so you're an activist, right? You're an activist? Yes.
Yep.
So you're speaking for, it sounds like to me, people who can't speak for themselves. Would that be right?
Yes.
Or they ask you to speak on their behalf?
A little bit of both, but actually is more the thing that these are people that are not prepared to talk. It's like education is a very big problem in Bolivia, so they don't have the instruments to get there what they wanna say. I don't know if you understand me, but it's like they don't know how to talk. They don't know what it's all about. They know just we have a problem. So it's like my mission to study the problem, to get out why do they have a problem, what's exactly the problem, how can we solve it, and then go ahead and talk to them to present it. So let's do this, and let's solve the problem. And also to the other way, as Rajan, I guess Rajan said, the bad government, you know, to stay in front of them and say to the government, so look out, this and this is going wrong, so you have to solve it, and you have to look at these people, and you have to help them because things are not going right. And then in all this process, there comes a lot of humanity in the problem that I also have to solve and to deal with, you know. And at the end, not always everybody's happy. It's like it's very hard.
Yeah. Yes. So the part that's, if you looked at integrity as we're meaning it here, what's unworkable? What's not working like you want it to?
I guess it's a matter of confianza, the trustness. I don't know if it's right in English. It's like people will never trust you completely in this activist work because
Okay.
because of politics. If they see you are a politician, I'm not, but they see me as a politician, then
Yeah.
they are always asking, why am I doing this? What do I want to get from them? And that, I think it's like a problem with trust, I would say.
Oh, Christina. Okay, that's really great. So what you want is people to have trust in you.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Trust in you, yes. And then what you feel is that they they back, or they think of you as you're this box and you're a politician when you're not.
Yeah.
But they have to be careful around you.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Okay. So for integrity for self. So if and I want you to try this on for you. If you say you're a person, you can say what there is to say where there's unworkability, like speak for people. But if you're going to add trust, like who you're being is a person of trust, what would the actions be inside integrity that you would, if you're trust, because the trust has to come from you, right?
Yeah.
Trust, yes. So if you're trust, what actions in integrity can you take to actually have them be able to step into your trust?
Well, from the very beginning, I have been doing the same. It's like just working, because the time will tell them that I actually am a trustable person, and I'm working because of higher principles.
Yes.
And not because I want some, I don't know, to win in the elections or something. And I have trust in time. That's my strategy now. But
yeah. Okay. So one of the things I think that I hear is you say to them, you can trust me, right? Like there's a gap between them being free to say what there is to say and you being able to be with them. So, it's very similar to when I went to my, just try on actually having the conversations, like literally, especially where there's drama. And by drama, I mean where you can see that there's not trust. You want to be able to be a human being to say, okay, I think that they don't trust me, because there will be a thought you have, a context you have that they don't trust you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So one of the things that's so great about integrity and authenticity is to actually be able to say that, like literally put that on the table and own it as yours. Like they may or they may not, I don't know, but to own it as yours. Like, I think that there's something between us, and I think it might be trust. And I'm willing to deal with, what it is, if you would actually be so great with me to be able to say, what is it about what I'm doing that you don't trust? Because there's a way you're being or things you're doing that people don't trust. Now, I don't mean everybody everywhere, but where it's unworkable.
Okay.
You want people to get into those conversations and discover trust in a way.
So you mean to identify who is the problem, yeah, and go there and say, so let's talk to each other.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, because you have them as the problem, right? Like that they're a problem. When people don't trust you, one of the places that you would likely think from is that it's over there. Just like with me, with my kids, you come to me, I'm the one everybody comes to, and then eventually you'll blame me, is how I had it when there's unworkability.
Yeah.
So it took dealing with me to be able to hear what there was to hear, to create what I wanted to create in the world. And it's not separate from my family to, you know, other people who are in my world, people who grow food and people who consume food. There's a giant divide in the kind of conversations and the quality conversations we have. They feel like they have to defend the people that grow food, mostly feel like they have to defend and protect everything that they do because they feel made wrong in the world where there's an abundance of food. They feel like whatever choices they make to make food there's a world of right and wrong.
I understand. Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, how do we have the conversations that we can actually develop the kind of listening that would take to actually understand one another and close the gap? So that's what you're looking at, closing the gap.
Yes.
It'll require you listening at a level that even though you're a good listener, because you're a person who's been here anyway, it'll require you listening and thinking from listening. So the context that you want to think from is that I'm here to understand. Something like that. I listen
Okay.
to understand.
I understand. I understand. Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about, like integrity as a law. How I'm thinking from. You even want to look at in your life, all of us, where we say yes. Like who's speaking for us, right? Like I say yes because I want to help people, you know, and I want to make the world a better place to live in. And sometimes yes, where I'm saying yes doesn't have integrity. I get super busy instead of, you know, actually creating the world I want because I want to say yes everywhere. And yes doesn't work everywhere. So when my no can be as powerful as my yes, that has integrity in it. For me. What are you getting? Christina, what did you get? Did you get something that you can see?
Yes, I guess there is, sorry, it's about Portuguese and Spanish and English at the same time.
All good.
But what I see is that the problem is also a historical one. It's like everybody looks at me and they see I'm not a typical Bolivian girl racially. I have studied in Germany and I do a lot of stuff, and actually all the higher society in Bolivia has always been like very paternal. I don't know if that's, or patriarchal, you know, it's always like, I help you, but you have no right to say anything. Just say thank you and be happy with them, what you get. And if it's a little, it's few, then be happy with it. You know, and I'm not like that. I'm like very open because I'm just open-minded, educated, I don't know. And they don't trust this figure, I guess.
Yeah.
So when you talk to me, I have to talk to them. I'm just thinking about, okay, and how can I start this conversation actually knowing what's the problem, but not too hurting them. Like saying, you know, you didn't go to university, but I did, so trust me because I'm gonna help you, or what's your problem? It's like
quit convincing. And sometimes you're speaking, like how you're speaking is so brilliant and so what's required to have integrity in the world. And I really mean that. Like, and to stand with that, you know, not making somebody right or somebody wrong, but like this voice gets a say. That is what will require, you know, integrity for self, for you. This voice, the you are, actually gets to have a say in the world. And there's could be a risk with it, but boy, you'll know yourself as a person of integrity when you say what there is to say authentically, without morality. We have a world that doesn't work all the time. Yeah.
I have a question, if I may. So I think I've heard it several times, this notion of without morality. And I think what comes up for me is that increasingly in the world we are seeing moral dilemmas, and we are seeing injustice, and particularly in politics, we see a manipulation of what integrity is, about values. It's easier to be able to wrap values in something that could be corrupt.
Yes.
And so I wonder, I really do resonate with, we need to treat each other as imperfect humans, right? And we need to kind of be human to like have these tough conversations.
Yeah.
But I think the other side of this is that where is the line then? Where is integrity, to me, also means principles. And so where is the line where, is it feasible to engage with somebody that has a corrupt principle, but is kind of
not always. Not always. Yeah. So I'm distinguishing integrity. We're human beings. I deal inside of morality. I do. Like, so do you, so does everybody. There are things that happen to children, to people in the world that do not work, and I do not stand for. So, and it's moral. It is wrong. But if I'm going to actually make a difference, I have to deal with me at level of self. For integrity is where that's the distinction. If I turn around and make myself morally wrong over everything, I will never, it's a lid. I can't get anywhere with that. I can by actually considering that at one point, there's a way that I can find workability in the world like that. So absolutely nothing wrong with dealing with morality, but it won't make the difference in the way that you want to make a difference in the world, Pam. Like that. It is the right thing to say. You have, people who, who harm children, who harm other human beings. It is not a problem to say that does not work. And we will not have that. We will not tolerate that anymore in the world. And I'll deal with me so I can deal with the world. I can deal with others like that. It just is the law of it. Does that answer?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. All right. Who else?
I have a small question.
Yeah.
So you talked about trust. So is trust inherently embedded in the whole spectrum of integrity?
Is trust part of integrity?
Yes.
Can you say a little more about that? As I think I'm going to answer something that I don't think you're asking. So I just want to.
So I'm just trying to understand that, a person who has integrity, he is to be trusted. So is this the true notion which I'm having?
Oh, okay, good. Trust can come with integrity for sure. Like if you're it can be one of the results of integrity. We'll say it that way. And it's not you can't look at trust as like you can't look at trust as, oh, that person, because everybody trusts that person, they have integrity. But trust comes as a result often of integrity. So if I continually break my word, right, I continually break my promises, one of the impacts is if I was going to continually break my word with you, there would be an impact of you starting to not trust me, and maybe to the point where you wouldn't trust me.
Sure.
But if I'm a person who actually not just keeps, like, life happens, I'm not going to be able to keep my word all the time. I'm just not, because life happens. But if I let you know where I've broken my word, and I restore my word with you, like if I gave you a promise and I broke that promise, and I came back and I owned that I broke the promise, and I said to you, this is what I know I broke this promise. I know that there's an impact on you, and here's what I'm going to do to clean up my mess, like my broken promise. There would be very likely, and I kept that word, an element of trust would be built between us.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I have a more specific question.
Yeah.
So what do we do with those people or who are with us who does not show integrity? Like say my friend, I find him that he is not having integrity. So how
Yeah.
do I address it? Should I leave it? Should I not be in touch with them? Because as a compassionate human being, we must try to bring them on the right track. So how do we do that?
Well, each individual will do what they do, but when you're with a person who lacks integrity ongoingly, and it's a friend, right?
Sure.
It's a friend of yours,
Yeah.
and you don't speak to what's inauthentic about the who they're being. What's it like for you?
I mean, so it might firstly it will be frustrating,
Yeah.
so that my friend is not listening to me, he's not on the right
Yeah.
track. So I will try to mend his ways, but if he's not trying to follow it, whatever suggestion I am providing or whatever thoughts I have, I'm
Yeah.
sharing with him, but he's not on the right track. So my question is like, how do we bring them on the right track? Or should we leave them that, okay, he's not on the right track, so I should not be with them? But
Yeah.
that's not true. That's not the essence of being a human being. No.
Well, you want to start dealing with that, and I mean really dealing with it, because right now we're in a world that we mostly don't deal with that. We ignore, we go away,
Yeah.
we tolerate it, we do whatever there is to do, because we very seldom actually speak to each other authentically with integrity, right? Because because we're protecting what there is to protect for us. But one of the things that is refreshing is if you actually owned how you've been tolerating his lack of integrity around you as yours, it could be because you're tolerating it, right?
Yeah.
You're tolerating. I think it's a him. I think you said him.
Yeah,
but you tolerating a lack of integrity around you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
what's the impact? Well, hang here with me. Hang here with me. What's the impact on you when you keep tolerating his lack of integrity?
So at a very personal level, it will be quite frustrating, and quite. I mean, I can reflect that how badly it will affect me also, and affect as a person. So I will try my best to bring that guy or that friend from that situation and bring him on the right track. So
but you want to own yours. You want to own how you tolerate that.
Yes,
because it's you who tolerates it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So and I mean that like sincerely, like you get, if you get how much you tolerate a lack of integrity around you without actually saying. One of the things that when you when there's a lack of integrity, there's a couple of key costs to your life, and one of them is and this is for every human being, so everybody track it, but one of the costs in tolerating what you tolerate is that you lack self-expression. So can you see that your expression, how you are with him, there's a like a place that you can't actually really say. You can't be free, and nor can he. Can you see that?
I accept that. Yeah, I accept that.
Yeah, so that's one of the places. The other place that because there's always a cost to this, right? A cost to tolerating what could actually, you could make a difference for him. And I know you're trying to get him on the right track, but you're not. You got to own yours first. Own what you tolerate first. So there's, and the four kind of foundations that we go into. The cost is love and affinity would be one, in what we tolerate, how we tolerate the lack of integrity in the world or in our relationships, because it's always us who are tolerating it. and not saying anything about it. So it's love and affinity, it's self-expression, it's like well-being, like vitality and well-being. Did I get 4 there?
Yeah, sure. You
Yeah,
got that.
yeah. So you want to look at the cost of your relationship, the cost of you tolerating that, and then own it for you, not dump it on him. Like he's getting through life how he's getting through life.
Definitely.
But it's a space that, it's a place that if you can own your lack of integrity for tolerating that which doesn't work inside, a friendship, then that'll be a space for, him to actually be able to see that, he could actually maybe like, I don't know, he doesn't know, it's an invitation for him to actually be able to step into who he really is. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. I got that completely.
Good.
Thank you very much.
Did everybody else get that here? Yeah. Can you track it to your own life? What you tolerate in yourself, others, the world? Yeah. I love that question because when you really, I really do, because when you take on integrity as your responsibility, that it is with you, it is what will create peace in the world.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah, it really is.
And also adding to this only. So suppose we have talked at a personal level. So suppose something I'm not liking at the governmental level or at the society level. So is this the same rule which we have to follow there also?
Yeah. I work with a man who I love this example. It's not mine, but it's his.
Yeah.
You can only drive so fast in certain areas in this country, I'm sure in yours as well.
Yeah.
And he knows that he's going to speed sometimes. So what he did to have integrity with himself is he wrote the government and he said, look I'm writing you to tell you that I'm going to speed sometimes. And when I have a ticket, I'll pay it. But I want you to know for where I have to get, there are times I'm going to speed. And he literally wrote the government that, and they ignored him. So he wrote another letter to say, I'm just making sure you got my first letter. And I'm telling you that this is and I get that I'm going to pay the consequence. But for my integrity, I need you to know I'll speed. And I just thought, this is killer, man. That's killer. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Nice example.
Yeah,
nice.
Exactly like that.
Yeah.
So the what you don't like in your government, you just want to start looking at, okay, what am I responsible for? Where can I make a difference? There is some unworkability, but I'm going to deal with it inside of who I am and who I say I am.
Cool. Thank you.
So Andrea, do we have 2 minutes or we have another half hour?
We have 5 minutes.
5
minutes. 5 minutes. Okay. So one of the things that, and we'll come back to, we're going to build on this conversation. The next one we're going to take on is authenticity at a level where we start with integrity and we build towards that. But one of the things that I think that inside of integrity, and it's like an agreement, is inside this group, if you guys will actually come to, I know you've already have some agreements with each other here, that you'll show up and you're going to contribute. But I want you to look at where you have where you don't have an agreement that will actually create workability in this group, because what you're taking on is a pretty big deal and it'll make a big difference in the world. So kind of look for yourself at the level of self. What am I going to take on personally in integrity? And then what am I going to create in the group that will actually, that I'll actually have everybody's backs here. Whatever it is, okay? And share that with one another. And then we'll hold each other to it. And then we'll come back to the next conversation. See how.
I'm so sorry, I didn't understand I didn't understand the question.
Thanks, Christina. If I'd like you to like work there. There's agreements you have as a group here as Conscious Politics, yes? And you want to start looking where you can create more agreements. And I don't mean like rules to follow, but agreements for integrity. So, so when I go into, I'm going to fix things or I'm going to figure out things, I have an agreement with my family now to point it out. And it doesn't mean I like it every time they point it out, because I don't. But I have an agreement with them that I'll take a look and see if that actually is who's speaking for me. So my figure it out or my fix it sometimes speaks for me, which is not who I say I am. I say I'm love, like that. So say who you are, like write down who you say you authentically are, and then you'll have, and then that's where you can find integrity, right? As a context, because the context is the one that's the hardest to think from, to speak from. Okay?
Cool.
Does that clear it up?
Sure, sure.
And by when, Wendy?
Oh, such a great question. When's your next meeting? When's the next time you guys meet? Next week?
On the 30th of April.
By then.
Scheduled.
So by then. You'll share it with one another. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Add it, put it on Facebook so I can see it and be with you with it, okay?
In the group.
Yeah. And if you don't agree to that, this is a beautiful spot to say, I'm not going to agree to that. And that's not a problem. This is where you get the yes or the no as powerful as the yes. Okay?
And this will also test our integrity?
Yeah. Sure.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Just a pleasure to be with you all. Really.
Definitely.
Like, it is a big deal to take these kind of conversations on. I mean it. It is, 99 point whatever % of the world is not up for this kind of conversation. So it is a privilege to be with you.
Likewise. And thank you for all of you. I mean, we are all from different countries, I guess. And
we are on different continents actually now. Because Wendy and Pam are on North American continent, but still Canada, North America, Mexico.
North America. Yeah.
Helen, Andre was in Europe. You are in India. That's really...
That's what I'm saying. Like, we have the diversity and so much of it, and we are together. So that's the beauty of our group at the first instance only. And thank you for taking such a generous and beautiful class. It was really insightful for me personally. And I have learned 2 things in particular: not to take the world into binary and keep it, as a unified whole. And obviously on the other half of keeping my expression whenever I find, whenever I confront with someone who is not having integrity. And that's the whole essence from my side. For now on, obviously, I will take up the assignment and share with everyone else. So looking forward to it, guys.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Privilege.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much, Wendy, also for me. It was thank you for your trust. That was great.
Totally.
And for all of you also, I was so excited waiting for the first time we meet, and now I'm very happy. And all expectations are where are here. I was expecting so much, and I get it, and it's amazing. Thank you.
Wonderful. Such a pleasure to be with you, Christine. All of you. Pam, looking forward to you when your session.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well.
What are you going to speak on? What are you mentoring on?
I just as a quick, so I'm a political strategist, and I mostly focus on international affairs, peace and security, and how we build and sustain social movements and social leaders. So the session that I have in mind is, it's called the Spectrum of Allies. So it's helping us more cognitively understand how we can bring people into our fight, Can we bring everyone? What's feasible and how to better understand that concept for organizing.
Oh, I can't wait. If I could be there, I'm going to be there just to, yeah, awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, but wonderful to be with you all. I'm very thankful that Andrea brought me in. So thank you for letting me be in the space.
We missed on the introduction part. I think if we can take 1 minute each and introduce each other.
That's a great idea.
Oh, yes. Yes.
I'll start with myself only. So I'm Abhishek and I'm from India. So I'm working right now as a policy analyst with a member of parliament in India. And I've worked upon, bills and questionnaires, asking questions to the government in power and trying to, bring a sanity in the political space in India. I have a background in engineering, and then I left engineering to come into policy sector. And somehow I got in touch with Andrea, and that's a classic story. I was to join the first batch, and so somehow I got a chance to be with the second batch, and I'm so glad that I'm with you all. So passing on.
Awesome.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Have you guys everybody met each other?
No, we are meeting for the first time only.
Oh, this is the first time. We should have, that lacked my integrity.
But it's fine. Like, we all introduced in the group and, started. So it's fine. Yeah. But it's good to know for the next time. But Christina, if you want to share some words, and also maybe Luca, because Lubica is amazing leader in ecology. Not only like the person behind the scene all the time with all the business. She's really like pioneering many things that she hasn't shared.
Okay, I'm Cristina Borda. I was born in Bolivia, but I'm living actually in Germany, in Munich. And I founded a city against the fourth unconstitutional re-election from our president in Bolivia. Is the first indigenous president. That's the actually problem. The figure, she's just a figure, and it's great to. He means a lot for the people and for the history of my country, but behind him there's nothing working well, and it's the fourth time unconstitutionally, and that's not democratical, and that's our struggling, and the movement I work with is all around the world. Bolivian citizens living like in Spain or in Australia or in the USA, and we are always trying to coordinate actions. And help to the cause. That's the resume of all.
Amazing.
Awesome.
So hello everyone, I'm Lubica, and as Andrea said, we were business partners together, founding the YP and running the programs. And I'm also working in energy industry, which I'm really passionate about. Currently, we are doing quite a big project on merging two huge energy companies, so a bit redrawing the energy landscape across Europe. And I'm also passionate about climate change and protecting the environment. And together with Wendy, we are leading the Conscious Ecology platform inside the GFU, which is the Global Institute for Extraordinary Women. And we want to try, to create some impact in this area as well. And I'm really happy I can be with you here, because it was a wonderful session and you are amazing and very inspiring people. So it's awesome to get to know you all.
The quality is immense, like in comparison with the last cycle. And I will say something about Andrzej and Migle, because you haven't talked to them. Andrzej is an amazing Polish man who is now based in Berlin, and he's working on some US NGO, which is funded by US government, and they are developing some projects on EU democracy. And he's also a Polish activist. And Migle is Lithuanian, who stepped up from a US embassy in Lithuania. She's on maternity leave. And she couldn't be with us because she needed to be with her baby. She typed me in her messenger, let's see if she will join. And her vision is now to be in a maternity leave and start developing a project for seniors in Lithuania and elder people and engage the government. So these are two other people who you meet. And I'm so glad, like Wendy, for your session, and Tammy, you joined us, and Lubka, you were with us, and for all of you, it was, yeah, I love the questions that we're posing. It's still thinking, and it's incredible what we can create when right people meet.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
Awesome.
And you will find the recording on your platform and also in the Facebook group. Pam also agreed that we can add her into the Facebook group. So you can reach out to Wendy, to Pam, to Lubka if you are doing something on energy, definitely, and each other. And we will be in touch also regarding next sessions. And you will also find this recording and other things in your platforms. So on your online platform. And yeah, always here, always in touch. So
Awesome.
And have a great days and evenings.
You guys too. Bye.
Bye.
Good night. Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. See you. Good night.
Yeah.
See you. Bye.
Bye.